Welcome to the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast.
Good evening, everyone. Birmingham, hope everybody's doing great. My name is Jarvis Escott from What's Happening Birmingham. I got the honor and pleasure. This guy decided to come back again for some more interviews. The none other than Joseph D. Bryant from AL.com, award-winning. If you haven't got any awards, I'm gonna give you some awards. Award-winning reporter. Joseph, how you doing this evening?
Good evening, Jarvis. How you doing? Glad to be here, man.
Great. Well, I want to bring Joseph back on. You know, the news never changes. You know, moment by moment, day by day, minute by minute, and Joseph is pretty much at the forefront of everything locally about government and governmental organizations or utility companies. So I want to bring him today to kind of cover some of the articles he's been, working on this week. So Joseph, let's get started.
All right, let's talk. Where you want to start?
So I see that you just posted an article maybe about 30 minutes ago about an employee who got fired from Central Alabama Water for asking questions.
Okay, so here's what I know. We posted it this evening, late this afternoon. The Employee Association president, he's a new president, a young man named Aki King. Now, Aki King said that he was terminated for violating a policy because he gathered employee questions and submitted those when there was a big employee town hall meeting, I guess about a week or so ago, with the Waterworks, Central Alabama Water employees. They met with Jeff Thompson, the new CEO, and his new executive team. And the Central Alabama Water, CAW, wanted the employees to submit through a portal, but the portal was where you put your name in and your information. The employees, according to Mr. King, said they don't want to do it that way because they're fear of retribution of what they asked. So the Employee Association gathered the questions anonymously, and Mr. King submitted those questions. None of those questions were asked. I was told, or answered during the meeting anyway. But a few days later, Mr. King was told that he violated the company policy through communication because he emailed the questions and was fired on the spot yesterday.
Oh my goodness, that's horrible.
But now I called CAW, I called Central Alabama Water to confirm the circumstances and just what was going on. But it's their policy not to comment on employee matters. So all I know is what Mr. King conveyed to us.
Oh, wow. And I also want to follow up because, this is keeping in touch with Central Alabama Water. They did a kind of, I wouldn't want to say unannounced drug test like last Monday.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was the day after the Super Bowl. So it was the Monday after Super Bowl Sunday. And there were unannounced mandatory drug and alcohol, but at least drug tests at some of the facilities. We're not exactly sure what all departments were tested at the time, but we understand from several sources that several dozen people were fired on the spot, and some others declined to take the test and just went ahead and just walked away from the job. We've called Central Alabama Water again for more details. What departments were tested, how many people were tested, how many people were sent home, what exactly were they tested for? But none of those questions have been answered thus far.
Oh, wow. Do a quick, I would say this is your personal opinion, not like I said, no reflects of your employer. If you had to give them a grade from A to F on transparency,
I can talk about that. A reporter can give his opinion when it comes to public information and public access. I can't be partisan, but I can tell you about public opinion and public access. Access. They're not doing very well. You will send requests, and there's no reflection on any personality, any persons. People just do their jobs. However, their policy has been, they might give me a comment, but it's not information. So it's easy to give somebody this verbiage that says nothing. James Brown had a song called "Talking Loud and Saying Nothing." Well, they're really good. They're really good at giving me a lot of noise, but very, very little substance. So I can't say that freely. I'll get statements. I think I asked a few other questions I've asked. I think dealing with actually I asked about the drug test, and I got just a blanket statement, but it's not information. It's verbiage, but it's not information.
Oh wow. Okay. Like as far as like, do they give you all good heads up of when the meetings are
Yes,
occurring?
yes. Now I can say that yes. When it comes to operations, the website is active and robust. That is correct.
Okay.
The agendas are posted. There's a meeting on Friday. I've already seen the agenda, and
Okay.
an improvement is, and I have to be fair, an improvement is you can now view the meetings on Facebook Live.
Okay.
So that's a much better condition than what it was in the past. In the past, you had to call in. You had to call the 800 number and dial in. The speakers were always poor. You could barely hear. You didn't know who was talking. So, and before that, I remember the old days. You could request the CDs and the tapes, which was actually better. They stopped that and they went to just dialing in. Poor quality. Credit is earned and credit is given. The new board and the new management have put in the Facebook Live, which is a lot better to access for the public.
Now,
but the only problem, Jarvis, is Facebook Live expires your videos in 30 days, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's if I have to complain now, if you're gonna have it archived. And right as I understand right now, I don't know this. I haven't seen it anywhere else. But that is an improvement having on Facebook Live.
Now, and I guess I want to give people kind of history into what I know this from my experience when I was student government president about the Sunshine Law.
That's right. That's right.
Are governments or public, are they required to live stream meetings?
They are not. They are not. Okay. I've done a story on that dealing with your hometown in Tarrant.
Yes.
It is a public service. It is a public access. It's a public amenity that is growing now, but it is not required. What the governments universally are required to do, they have to give you access to the facility. You can go to the meeting, any public meeting, unless it's an executive session. You can go to those. They have to be posted in a timely manner where the public can know when the meeting is, and they have to provide you with the agenda and the happenings of those meetings. But as far as having it video streamed or broadcast, that's growing in public demand, but it is not codified in law.
Okay. Yeah, because I always tell people that's very important. That I think it's especially when the pandemic was going on, people's able because they couldn't publicly come in.
That's right. And
that was their way to kind of quote unquote skirt around the law because nobody really was enforcing it because of wherever stay in orders or different governments and state orders.
But I think at that time, if I'm correct, you can go back and check. At that time, I think there were some exceptions carved out just for the pandemic, where you could have a meeting via live stream, but those streams have to be made public. If I remember correctly, I think there were some commission meetings that were done that way. I know some courts were still operating that way as well. So I think there were some carve outs, but it still was publicly accessible to the people. It wasn't like this. I'm calling you on my private Zoom. It had to be something where the public could access it.
Oh yeah. So let's go into these because man, you have a very busy week so far.
It's just Wednesday, right?
Yeah, just Wednesday. Just Wednesday.
Right.
Defamed my character. Ex-council member on mayor's explosive late night Facebook video. This is one of our main reasons why we was going on this live stream tonight. But I'm just gonna let you take it from there so you can give the viewers
okay. All right, so you want to go to Lipscomb then? Okay, all right. So Lipscomb is a small town of about 2,000 people, right outside of Bessemer, and a lot of drama in the small town. The mayor is a brand new mayor and mostly new council members. The mayor Mayor Sims went on Facebook Live. Live is really popular right now. He went on Facebook Live around 11 o'clock on Friday night. It has some pretty explosive allegations and some confessions as well, and some accusations. Basically, he accused former mayors and former council members and former city officials of basically of being corrupt and in the pockets of bingo interest. And he said money was exchanged. He did the live from a kitchen where there were papers everywhere. He said, "This is my evidence." He talked about some personal things about his own life. He said,
"Yeah, that was
bad romance."
Really what made a lot of people like, "What in the world is this going on?"
Right. It was a mix of everything. It was a mix of he prayed and he preached and he talked about his own personal indiscretions, and then he railed against the governments, past and present, and he asked the city to continue to support him in defying what the city council wants him to do, which is to bring back some former city officials, including the police chief and the city clerk. He says he doesn't want to do that. He also said the meeting that they had where they did those resolutions, he called that meeting illegal, or what do you call it? Maybe not illegal. That's too strong of a word. Illegitimate. He called that meeting illegitimate because he already had a meeting. The council was late, and he waited about 3 minutes, and he went ahead and adjourned that meeting. Well, boom! As soon as he did that, the council members came, and they're like, "Whoa! We're still here. Like, too late. I've already adjourned the meeting." So, in defiance of him, they called their own meeting. So we had 2 meetings that day. He says the second meeting was illegitimate. He also says he won't bring back the police chief because he's had a personal relationship with her that was not physical. He said, but he said so that there's a conflict there, and he railed against her as well. Incidentally, she also has a federal lawsuit against the city to get her job back because officially she is still the police chief. She just hasn't been on the job in about 2 years. There's a lot of drama for a tiny town. That's what, in a nutshell, that's what's going on. So in the council meeting yesterday, former council member Polanitz came and said, "Okay, Mayor," because he called her, I think the words were a thief and a liar during the Facebook Live post. So she says, "Okay, well," what the young people say, "Show me the receipts. Show me where I'm a thief and a liar. Give me the documents because you're opening yourself up to a libel suit." So I think she's supposed to go back today to make the official public information request to get those documents. AL.com, Joseph Bryant, has also reached out to the mayor to get the details and the receipts, but he said he's not going to give them to me. He says it's part of a criminal investigation and he has a protected chain of custody. However, that didn't stop him from putting them on the table on Facebook Live and flashing a few sheets every now and then.
Yeah, and showing it.
Right.
Which is even more crazy.
It was different. It was different. It was you kind of scratch your head a little bit. You play it back and say, "Did he say this? Did he say that?" But again, there was a lot of things, a lot of information. And now it's my job to go back and try to find out is there any veracity to what he's saying. Never mind how he said it or when he said it. Is it accurate? Is there anything that is substantive in some of these serious allegations? And we get the titillating things about relationships and all that. That's interesting. But what's really important was money ill appropriated? Was money was there misuse of funds? So those kind of things, or that's what people really need to understand. Is it true or not?
Yeah, and I also think too that a lot of these government officials really need to consult with their city attorneys about them going live. I mean, yeah, I can go live. I'm my own independent business.
You're a private citizen, right?
Private citizen, but you're a government official. You going live from your home and then that document was, like you said, was that a preview? Was you taking a document that was supposed to be at the city hall unauthorized?
It's on your kitchen table. It's on
your kitchen table.
Right.
And
right.
It's like I've read the live stream. Don't get me wrong, I think the live stream has been good. Yes. Is it perfect? Does it look clean? Does it make it messy? But I think, you probably agree with it, the public needs to see all of this.
Let's see it. You raising serious allegations. Are you turning it over to the authorities? What are you seeking prosecution? Are you seeking further investigation? Now, I will go back and ask the mayor those questions. We had the first one, the boom, the big story about his midnight live feed. But the council has said, just as late as yesterday, we have to develop some policies. The council, they said we have to develop some policies about communication and use of city, because it is a city Facebook page that he broadcasted on. Whether he created it or not, it's still purportedly an official City of Lipscomb page that you're using, and you're saying all kind of things that have not been vetted and have not been agreed upon by the governing body, which is the Lipscomb City Council. So some of the council members said at the next meeting they're going to discuss policies and procedures, for going live and using anything that has a City of Lipscomb stamp on it.
Yeah, because I know a lot of these government officials, and you all elected officials can chime in. Before you all get elected to office, you all have to go through a ethics class. And you can back there. Don't they have to go through like an ethics class?
You need to ask my wife some of these questions.
Okay.
I do know the League of Municipalities offers training, I think some of that training is mandatory once you become an elected official. So there are courses and things, and also I see some communities have their own training courses, and they bring in people to come in. And I know Lipscomb has not done that yet, because as soon as they got there, more pandemonium came with the lawsuit when the mayor sued the council, got the council removed. They haven't met in a month. They finally met again just last week. So I'm pretty sure there hasn't been any kind of training on how to govern. Not just
yes. I mean, this is just, one thing after another. Is just like, well, a lot of these cities, just always carries like, and then in the end of the day, the people lose out because they spend more time in office fighting each other.
Well, as you know, going back to Tarrant, there's some similarities between Lipscomb and Tarrant. Tarrant's slightly larger, for double the size of Lipscomb. But as you know, when you went through it as a citizen observing, when government entities fight and there's divided government, and there are lawsuits, and the three things happen. You're paying money for your legal fees. Nobody benefits except for lawyers.
Yeah,
you're dividing your community. You're giving your community a bad reputation and embarrassment to your citizens. And you also are stopping any kind of progress that can only happen when you have teamwork, collaboration between the mayor and council. They don't have to be, joined at the hip on every issue, but there has to be some collaboration to bring things to your community, and let both sides have to be cheerleaders for their community. And once they get a proposal, they have to work together to seal the deal, so to speak, and highlight what's good about their community. But when you have a divided government based on personality and power struggles, it hampers all progress, and nobody suffers. Well, only the people suffer.
Yeah, nobody.
You're supposed to be there for the people, so that's why these stories are important. We can talk a little bit about the flavor and the other, some of the colorful quotes and things, but when you boil it all down, it's hurting the people.
Now let's move on. We went from the small city. Let's go back to the big city, which is
where we're going, John. All right.
Your next article is Birmingham reclaims former Inslee High School site after long stalled $55 million plan.
That's right. Okay, well, several years ago, there was an ambitious plan to redevelop the former Inslee High School that had burned. It was a 100-something-year-old building that burned to the ground. Well, it was gutted by the fire, but there was a plan to bring in new housing, commercial, kind of, I guess, a mixed-use community for Inslee that would be an anchor for redevelopment in that part, in the western part of town. That had been talked about for several years. The city allocated funds for demolition. The site has been cleared and prepped, so to speak. It's been cleared, but since then it had gone dormant. So finally, the city took back the property. They've reclaimed the property as of last week, and there's still money in the budget for redevelopment, but it's cleared off now. And now the city really is back to the drawing board as far as promoting and marketing that site for hopefully redevelopment soon. I talked to the councilwoman, and she's optimistic something can be done within the year. But we'll see it when we see the plans. But right now they're still in the process. Sonia Smith is who I spoke to. Sonia, right? Who just got there, of course. But she's optimistic that the site can and will be developed soon.
Okay, well that's good. Did you do the article about the Family Fun Center too?
I did that one too. Yes, I did.
Wow, all right.
On that one, then I'll give you something that's another positive one. I'll give some balance. But yes, the Family Fun Center, as you know, has been a long project touted by Mayor Woodfin. It's going to be at the site of the Crossplex, which was at that time was a major economic boost and boom for that part of town from Mayor Langford. So Mayor Langford built Crossplex at what was Fair Park, and then Mayor Woodfin was going to come in and build a Family Fun Center. It's going to be an enhancement to what we have in that corridor. But much like the Inslee project is stalled.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was a groundbreaking. There was touting about the amenities that it's going to bring in and inject new life and new economic vitality to the area, but nothing's really happened since then. So the mayor met with neighborhood leaders. I wasn't there. The public really wasn't invited. So neither was the press, but he met with neighborhood leaders and basically told them that, the enhanced plan is going to cost more. So it's about $10 million more. They already spent $3 million. So there's new plan. So there's still money in the budget, but we do the math. It's about $10 million that they have to come up with to do the enhanced version of the plan. Now I say about because I was not in the meeting. I've called the mayor's office and asked for specifics, but just like Central Alabama Water, I didn't get any comment. Well, I got a statement. But no information.
Okay, you want information,
right? But I'll say this now. Just this last week, the mayor has announced another major project for Inslee, as far as the acquisition of the old Inslee Works industrial site, and trying to clean up that brownfield. You see the old historic pipes. The smokestacks are still there, and at one point that was like the largest producer, industrial producer of its kind in the country at that time. So I think the plan is to acquire that property and redevelop that property as kind of a new tech hub for Birmingham and that part of town. So optimistic that can be another injection of positive energy for Inslee. Yeah, but I will follow up. And ask about it. How much is it going to cost, and what's the timeline? So questions still need to be answered about those things as well.
So if you're an average citizen trying to get this information from these governments, like for Birmingham, what do they have to file, like what they call a FOIA request?
Yeah, we say FOIA as that's kind of a blanket statement. FOIA is really the Freedom of Information Act, which is a federal law. Okay. But we have the Alabama Open Records Act. But you can say FOIA, everybody knows what it is. But to be totally proper, it's the Alabama Open Records Act that you're going to file it under. There's a form. Every community has their version of a form. You have to say what is that exactly what you need. Those are harder now because the state legislature a couple of years ago gave cities the ability to require more information. So you have to be really specific about, like Birmingham, each document. I can't just take one piece of paper and ask for several things. They want a form for everything that you want. And you have to make sure the wording is correct. And if it's not correct, they can deny it and tell you why. But if they feel as though it's not a legitimate request or not a real document, they don't have to respond to it. So it's just a lot of a gray area now. But the best thing you can do is continue to ask for that information, follow their procedures, and ask for those things, and keep pressing. If you don't get it, ask why. And as a citizen, go to the city council meeting. You have 3 minutes to speak before your council. If you don't get what you need, go before your council. It's also broadcast on the live. So, the public has more power than people might think they do. And a lot of it's just influence. Nobody wants to be embarrassed or questioned publicly. Well, give me my information. Or I go live.
Go live. Yeah, and I've seen it, like, even for example in Tarrant, like the citizens have started. I think one particular group has started. I want to say Tarrant off the chain. Tarrant Chandler, Tarrant off the chain. Right. They've started showing up at the meetings, taping it. On the drop off is they can't really get the sound like they want to because they're doing it, quote unquote, from the audience or whatever the case may be. But these city governments, it's like, hey, you start something, now you want to kind of take it away, and if I am listening, if I got some of my, I know some of you all are watching, some of my great elected officials that's down in Montgomery right now, that would be some great legislation for you all to update.
That would be interesting. And it's almost free now because the accessibility of Facebook and all these types of things. Larger cities can do it different ways. Like Birmingham has its own. They do Facebook Live, but it's also archived. I think Granicus. So you can do it in different kind of ways for very little cost. So you're right. It doesn't cost a lot to do the right thing and open up your government to everybody. But also, to your point, citizen journalism is more important now than it has ever been. I've received tips from citizen reporters and people who have independent sites and independent, writings, and they'll send me things. Okay, Joseph, I'm working on this. What do you think about this? And I'll make sure I give credit where credit is due. But several important stories have started with citizen journalists.
Yeah, they have to they got to stay on these people, because if you don't stay on them, they're gonna release only what they need to release.
Only happy stories.
Yeah, fluffy stories.
If I only write happy stories, I'm doing you a disservice. Now, I think it's fine to show. My job is to show a mirror of society. Okay.
Yeah.
The things that you want to see and some things that you don't want to see. And if you see something you don't like, change it. But my job is to show you the reflection. But if you don't like what you're looking at, fix it. But it can't always be happy stories. Governments need to be held accountable, and also, for the good, for the bad, and what they haven't done. That keeps everybody honest and keeps everybody active. And it's only for the betterment of the public that we do that. If it's only happy stories, you won't ever know when you're not really being told the truth or properly served.
Oh yeah, I agree with that, because a lot of times people just don't. You got to get, like I tell people, the worst thing you can do is let the officials hide information. You said, the cover up is worse than the crime.
Worse than the crime. That's right.
Just keeping stuff for what? It's let it out. Let people know. Like, for example, even with, let's go back to the situation, the hold up with the Inslee thing, or the hold up with the Family Fun Center thing, until, and you say, like I say, unless you press people, it would be like, hey, what's the update on this?
Right.
What's going on with that?
Right. That keeps everybody on track. It's best for everybody. That someone that in the back of your mind, somebody's going to be coming to ask me these questions in a little while. So let me go ahead and move forward with what I have to do. Or if it's not working, let me be forthcoming to the public and tell them what course has to change and why. And I think most of the time the public is forgiving a lot of times if you're honest and coming out with what's going on, what's the status. People just want to be kept informed. If there's a delay, if there's a cost overrun or a cancellation, people just want to know what's happening in their community and with their tax dollars.
And then also too, I think, and this little tip for all elected officials that's watching and maybe watch this on replay, if you present the information, he can write the story based on what you send him. That's a great tip, elected officials. So if you give him the information, you don't have to worry about, he can use that as a basis for a story. But if Joseph got to hunt around for the information, hey.
Well, a little bit of both, John. You're right. If you give me something, you make it easy to present it. That will help you. If you're if you're forthright, I still might ask you a question that's not written down on your press release now, but it will help if you open the door first. Yeah. Correct. Yes. And you get credit for doing that. You get credit for talking about the positive, which is easy, but also some things that make it a little tougher. Leaders get credit for that, and it only builds respect among the press who cover you, but also among the citizenry who elect you.
Yeah. I mean, people have to understand that it's good that if you provide the information, that keeps the public, and that also keeps people feel like you operating above ground.
That's right. Above board.
So if I had to be one called Nostradamus, anything you working on tomorrow or the next few days?
Well, the Waterworks meeting is Friday, so I'm going to go and see what's going on. I still want to talk about, their bond rating for the Waterworks as Central Alabama Water was reduced. It was it was AA minus, now it's AA. They've received a kind of a warning letter from Standard & Poor's that says, hey, we have a list of questions. If we don't get answers to these questions, we might just take your bond rating off the table, period. That means like no credit. So I think the Waterworks might be busy trying to answer some questions from Standard & Poor's. But so I need to find out more about where we are on that. There's also some other things, some infrastructure questions I want to ask about. Where are we on the Lake Purdy Dam?
Yeah, I'm just about to ask you, because that is a very, it's one of those type of things that's a very important, that concerns me, because like we said, if that dam breaks, it would pretty much flood 280 and I ain't gonna say
right. A lot of the suburban over the mountain areas. Now I'm not going to put out that it's going to break. However, there were serious structural issues in this 100-year-old dam. So the question is, what have you done to repair it? Where are we now? And what is the current status of the dam? Those questions need to be asked. And I don't just need a statement that says you have a guy who looks at the dam every day. I need to know specifically what you're talking about. What is the status of the dam?
Yeah.
Where are we moving forward? How much is it going to cost? And how are we going to do it? Those are things that need to be answered. So those are several things. You know, like you said, Jarvis, news is a serial. It's like a soap opera. It's going to come back on the next day. So there's several segments of it. It never really ends because we're covering communities.
Now, if you're going on AL.com and you click and checking out Joseph articles, you probably notice that you probably got to subscribe to read the whole article. Can I tell people, and I know we discussed that deal, why they AL.com and AL.com is not the only online news media that is pivoting to this. They had to pivot to like a pay model.
Okay, you're right. The business model has changed in the last decade and a half with the advent of what we're doing now. It's the internet. Though it used to be the news. I was at the Birmingham News. That's where I was hired. The Birmingham News and all newspapers was essentially an advertising company that gave you the news for free. Think about that. Yeah. We sold ads, and the ads paid for the news, which paid for people like me. And we gave my job was to give you an excuse to pick up the sheet of paper that had the ads in it. Okay. But with the advent of the internet, people could start putting Craigslist and Facebook, and there were other ways to put ads in and advertise besides using the old newspaper. So our revenue took a dive, and not just us, but just industry wide. So they had to. So now they had to try to figure out a way to survive in this new business model and create a new business model. Because what I do does not make money. What I do brings you in to look at the ads in the old days. Remember?
Yeah.
And the dollar the dollar you spent for the newspaper really didn't pay for the paper. Okay. So the advertising is what paid for everything. And that old business model that went back 200 years, all that was ended with this internet stuff.
Yeah.
So they're trying to find different ways. Data is a big thing. Analytics is a big thing. So I'm not a business person, but the whole industry has had to find new ways to monetize this news, because news is expensive to produce. You got to pay me. So news is expensive to produce. So the paywall is just another way to have a revenue stream. It's not very expensive. So I tell people all the time, you want me to stay here, right? He's like, I like your story, Joseph, but I couldn't read it all. Well, you want me to stay, don't you? So no, I can't send you the freebie. I need you at this point, Miss Attorney, whoever, professional man. I need you to subscribe, because that is a revenue stream that keeps the business open. Because the news is not a government entity. It can go away. A lot of news organizations have died, and they didn't die because they weren't good. They just died because the financial model did not make any sense anymore. It wasn't feasible. And it's the worst thing in the world to see another outlet go away, because that's one less voice, one less person telling your stories about your community, one less person telling, even like I said, happy news, just shining a mirror on your society, showing you what's good, what's working, what's not working, and what could work. But you need all those voices out there telling those stories. And
then also too is like, even though we live in the era of, like you said, independent journalists, media journalists, you still need the traditional journalists, because traditional journalists, they operate by a certain code of ethics, rules of the road, where somebody like me, we can put out wrong information. And trust me, we put out wrong, we will get sued too. If we put out wrong, that people are learning, that can happen if you put out false information. But when you're dealing with news like yourself, those risks and those rules already, that, hey, I got to research. Then if I say something wrong, I have to come back and do a retraction.
Absolutely. You're right. I'm part of an organization. I'm part of an industry, and I'm part of a specific company that we do have a set of standards and ethics, and I can and should be held accountable, as well as my company. We have a brand. I have my own brand as well. And that brand is based on, I don't make anything. I don't make stuff. All I have is my name, and if I put my name on it, I'm giving you a seal that, to the best of my ability, this is accurate. And when it's not accurate, the first person who feels the worst is me, because I'm messing up my name. And if you tell me something is inaccurate, and not just you didn't like what I said, but you say it's inaccurate,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna beat myself up the most. Then I'm gonna go immediately and fix it because I'm holding up my own brand name and my own integrity, but I'm also holding up the banner for my company.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Well, Joseph, I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Jarvis.
Again, and like I said, any other let me just say the open invitation. I'm gonna say for elected
Thank
official.
you.
We're elected
Thank you.
official that's currently elected official. Now I candidate now. I put two difference. If you want to come on my podcast, you're more willing to talk about in your official capacity. That's you're more welcome to come on because this builds dialogue. It gives you opportunity to talk to the viewers. Most likely some of the viewers that's tuning in are in the Birmingham, Jefferson County area, and give a chance to speak it from your mouth so you don't worry about somebody storing and leaving something out that what you said and what you didn't say as well. Joseph, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Okay,
yeah, I thought it was faded and thing. But so if they want to reach out to you, how can they get in contact with you?
All right, please reach out to me. Bryant, JBRYANT at ALabama.com. Bryant at AL.com. I answer all emails, even if they're nice or not so nice. I'll always respond to the messages. So the public feedback is what I need. I want that from everybody in all corners of our community.
Okay. Well, Joseph, thank you again. Thank you all for watching. Give everybody a quick look. I'm gonna be doing some live streams the next couple of days. It's a lot of great forums that's coming up real soon. Everybody, I just want to let everybody know about it. So when you see me go live, that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna try to inform the public because we got a lot of people running for office in a lot of these serious positions, and we need to hear what their viewpoints is because we cannot afford. Because you know what happens? People always want to come after something's done. They can't come while the process is going on. Especially now, I feel like, with the special situation going on with Central Alabama Warriors, like we've been talking about this for years. Now that the change has happened, people don't like this change. Yeah.
You gotta vote. You gotta be active. Show up to the meetings. Log into the meetings.
Yeah.
Ask questions.
Yeah. Just don't take no for an answer. If they answer, keep asking more questions, more questions until you get the answers you need and you want. So thank you all for watching.
And call me.
Yeah.
Call
him. And you could send and another thing too, Joseph, by him operating as a as a journalist, he can protect you. So you never have to worry about he's gonna leak your name out to the government for retaliation. So
not at all.
Yeah. So thank you all for watching. Please check out what'shappenedbirmingham.com for more interviews. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check me out on Apple Podcasts, the audio version of this. And I'm on TikTok at What's Happening Birmingham. Thank you all again and have a great evening, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast. Please check out our website, app, or subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest videos today.